So here is a video example of how to use Scrapy. We're going to scrape this fake bookshop and try to extract the title, the price, and the rating of the books. So here we go. So first we go to Anaconda and create a new environment. Now the easiest way here is just to click on Create, give the new environment a meaningful name. I call it Bookshop Scraper. And now we have to wait a bit until everything's installed. All right, here we go. So we go back to the Home tab. And here I'm going to install the command prompt. Now you can only do this on Windows. On Mac there's a different way to get a terminal. I'll show you in a second. First install the command prompt. Again, some more waiting. Here we go. In addition, I will install Spider with Y. You can also use any other IDE that you like. So if you're already using Visual Studio, you can use that. If you installed PyCharm, that is also a good option, but I also like Spider, so I'm going to use that. Again, we have to wait a bit. All right, now back to the Environments tab. In the environment, we of course also need to install Scrapy if we want to use it. So I just apply once and then a second time. Once more. All right, so now we have everything we need. If you're on a Mac, you can click this play button here to open a terminal. On Windows, we go back to the Home tab and run the command prompt. All right, here's the terminal. Now in the terminal, we need to navigate to a folder where we want to create our project. I have a specific projects folder on my C drive for that. If you're on the Mac, I would recommend you go maybe to your desktop and create a folder there. On Windows, you can really create it everywhere you like. You can easily navigate everywhere. All right, so you navigate in the terminal between folders with CD for change directory. So cd ... goes to the parent folder, and cd project cd folder name goes into the folder. So here we are in the projects folder. You can see that it's empty with dir on Windows. You can check the content of a directory. On Mac the command is ls, but that obviously won't work on Windows. So inside this folder I'm now going to create a Scrapy project. I do this with Scrapy start project, and then I have to give it a good name. So I'm going to call this Book Scraper. All right, so you can see this has created a folder here, and inside this folder there's another folder with the same name, and inside that folder there are some Python files already made for us. All right, so once we've done this, we go back to Anaconda, and I'll start my Spider. That will again take a second to load. All right, here we go. So what I want to do is I want to create a project, and I do this in an existing directory, and I'm going to navigate to the project folder that I've just created, Book Scraper, and inside the first one you then select the folder, and then you can see here you have the two folders and all the files here, and all the other files that we're going to write are going to go into these folders. All right, good. So now we want to create our first Spider. For that we go back into the terminal. So the command is Scrapy gen Spider, and now you have to give it a name. I'll call it the Book Spider, and then you also have to enter a website, books2scrape.com. Hit enter, and now there's the Book Spider. You can see it here in the files on Spider with Y. All right, if you double click it, there's not much there yet. Here we have the allowed domains, so that makes sure that your Spider doesn't go to other websites where it's not supposed to go. And this is the URL that you start with. And all the parsing is going to happen in this parse function, all the scraping is going to happen here. So our code basically will go here. The nice thing about Scrapy is that we don't need to request anything. This is all done automatically, and once you run this Spider, it will request the start URL and potentially more. This is a Python list, right? You can enter more start URLs here, and then you get responses, and you can run CSS or XPath on these responses. All right, so I delete this temp here, and now we want to start scraping. For that, of course, we have to have a good look at the website. Yes, as I said, we want to get the title, the price of the book, and also the rating. So we see here on each page there are 20 books, and we have 50 pages, so quite a bit. But we'll just first start just to scrape the 20 books on this page. All right, so let's see what we have here. All right. So we can see that all the books here are inside this div. They're inside this ordered list. They all have this, they all belong to this list item. And then inside this item, we have an article item, and that seems to contain all the stuff that we want. So let's go for this. So here this is a tag with the name article, and the class is product pod. So let's just quickly make sure that this is indeed capturing only the 20 items that we want. And yeah, we have this here, right? So we can check everything. This is exactly the 20 items that we want. All right, so let's start with that. So let's call this books. And we get this by running a CSS product pod. There we go. On the response. All right, good. So now we want to loop through all these 20 books. So for book in books, and we want to obviously now extract the title. What's this? The title, the price, and also the rating. All right, so let's first look for the title. So inside this article class here, there's first the image that we are not interested in. Then there's the star rating, and then here this is h3 element. Now this h3 element consists of a hyperlink and then the title, but you can see here that the text of the hyperlink isn't always the full title. Right? So for other books here later, it is. The text is the full title of the book, but not if the book title is very long. So you see as if some book titles that are abbreviated. However, if we look closely, we find that the anchor tag here has an attribute called title that contains the full title. So here a light in the attic. Right, so this is what we're going to use then. So we're looking for an h3 element, and then inside of that h3 element an anchor, and then we want the title of that anchor. All right, so book CSS h3, and then this anchor, and what we want from that anchor is the attribute title, and then we run get on it. All right, let's check the price. So the price here is in this div with the class product price. Am I here? Yeah. And specifically, the number is in a paragraph tag with the class price color. A bit of an odd name for a class maybe, but nevertheless this is good. So we again use CSS paragraph with the class price color, and from that we want the text. And then finally the rating. Now the rating is a bit tricky. You see the rating is here in this paragraph class, and then we have 3 I tags, and they don't actually contain anything. See, there's no text, no nothing, just the class that is probably giving us the stars, but no indication here about how many of these stars are actually activated. However, if we look a bit higher in this paragraph class here, we see there's star rating and then also the number of stars for that particular book. So here's 3, and let's just check that's the same for the next book. So you see here's star rating 1, and well, the next book, again, where are we here? So again, star rating 1, and then the next one should have star rating 4. Right, so indeed, so the information we have here is part of the classes. Right? So again, that's a bit tricky. So for now, we're just going to scrape the full class, including the star rating, and then later we'll worry about how we get this 4 out of this and maybe turn it into an integer. All right, so book CSS has a paragraph here, and the paragraph is inside sorry, has the class star rating, so this is what we're going to use. And then what we want is the attribute of that item, the class attribute, to be specific. And let's get this. All right, now we're getting all the information, hopefully, and then we just need to yield it. Right? So yield is similar to return, but return stops the function from running, whereas yield lets it continue. All right, so we are probably going to yield a dictionary for now. So title, price, and then finally rating. All right, what's the problem? Oh, it doesn't like this because I forgot to make this capital letter. There we go. Now all the arrows here have disappeared. All right, I'll have to save this, and now we should be ready to run this. So for this, we go back to the terminal, and we're going to have to make sure that we're in the right folder where we want to be, because wherever we run this command now, this is potentially where our output is created. All right, so we run a spider with the Scrapy crawl command and then the name of the spider. Now for that, it's important to know that it's not the class name, but the name given here. So book spider is going to run this. So Scrapy crawl book spider. A lot of stuff is run here. Okay, there's some error. Something it doesn't like. Ah, yes, you see here's a this is an error, so this looks better, I think. All right, let's rerun this. All right, so this actually worked. So we see the output here. Here, for example, is the book title, Black Maria, price 52.15, and the star rating is 1. Right. However, the problem is this didn't create any output that we could use later. If we want output, then we need to say so when we run the spider. So -0, not 0, -0 for output, and then a name for the output. So I call this books CSV. And if we run this, then you can see there's a new file here, books CSV, which contains the stuff that we have scraped. Now you have a couple of issues here. So one is the titles are fine, they look good. The price here has this extra weird character, which is because the £sign is not a Unicode sign. And then we already know that eventually we want to get rid of the star rating and only keep the 3. But this is something we're going to do later in an item loader or in a pipeline. All right, so this is the first step. In the next video, we're going to create an item and then an item loader as well.